and welcome to the table. I'm your host, Teen Wolf, and today we are doing something a little bit different. So, Streets of New Capenna is right around the corner, and me and my dad got our hands on some pre-release packs, and today we're going to be doing a bit of that. I'm going to do a couple crack-a-packs. Now, if you don't know what that is, basically, I take 3 packs from here, and I'm going to open them up in front of you, and I'm going to look at all the cards. I'm going to talk to you about them, and yeah, we're just going to get a little look at what Streets of New Capenna has got in store for us. So, with this little intro aside, let's get into the crack-a-pack for Streets of New Capenna. Alright, so these are the 3 packs that we are going to be opening, and yeah, let's just get into things. So, this is a setup that I haven't really worked with all too much, so I hope that it turns out well, but I may need to do upgrades as I continue to do videos like this. Now, let's just move these off to the side for now, so we can only focus on these cards. So, first card, Demon's Due. 3 and a black for an instant that says, sorry that it's not focusing right here. It says, scry 2, then draw 2 cards. You lose 2 life. So, for 4 mana, not great, but it's a fairly decent card. So, next card is Expendable Lackey. 1 blue for a 1/1 human citizen that you can pay 1 and a blue to exile this card from your graveyard and create a 1/1 blue fish creature token with. This creature can't be blocked. Now, you can only activate this as a sorcery, so only during your turn. So, I'm not sure if there's many synergies with, like, unblockable creatures in this set, but if you were to, like, put this in a ninjutsu deck, like, maybe it could do a little something. So, just a thought. Alright, next card is Boon of Safety. 1 white for an instant that says, scry 1 and put a shield counter on a target creature. So, what a shield counter is, and this is new, by the way, if this creature would be dealt damage or destroyed, remove the shield counter from it instead. So it's kind of like a one-time version of an Indestructible, kind of, not exactly, but I mean, yeah, it's basically like a one-time version of Indestructible. So that's a good way to put it, summarize it. Antagonize. 1 in a red for an instant that says target creature gets +4/+3 until the end of turn. So there have been many cards printed like this in the past of Magic the Gathering. Now, personally, I would love if this card, like, says target creature you control gets +2/+1 in trample. I would love that a lot more than just +4/+3, because in that way, 1, the creature can have more power, so it can trample over more damage, and it's just got trampled, so yeah. Okay, this card's a little freaky. This reminds me of some of the Mystical Archive cards from Strixhaven. And by the way, if you don't know what that is, let's just say that there are really sweet reprints of old cards from Magic the Gathering in a special art kind of version like this, where it looks super realistic and fancy. But anyways, Social Climber. 2 and a green for a 3/2 human druid that says Alliance. Once again, another new mechanic. Whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, you gain 1 life. So that's pretty good. It's kind of like an expensive version of Prosperous Innkeeper, perhaps. And, I mean, it's in common, so it's not going to be great. But, I mean, this card's got a bit of synergy with some stuff, so. Anywho. Let's just move some of this stuff a bit. All right. Next card. Join the Maestro. Sorry that this isn't focusing. There we go. 4 and a black for a sorcery that says Casualty 2. Once again, another new mechanic. As you cast this spell, you may sacrifice a creature with power 2 or greater. When you do, copy this spell. And you create a 4/3 black ogre warrior creature token. So you can sacrifice a creature with 2 or more power to basically spend 5 mana to create 2 4/3 black ogre warriors. So decent, not great. Now, there are a lot of synergies with like graveyard recursion in the set, so sacrificing a creature with low power can kind of help enable that synergy. So you can look at this as a way to enable some of those graveyard recursion stuff or graveyard value. But for 5 mana, definitely not the best. Anyways, next card. Security Bypass. I've looked at this card a lot, and in my opinion, this card looks pretty good. 1 blue for an enchantment aura that enchants a creature. And as long as the enchanted creature is attacking alone, it can't be blocked. And when the enchanted creature has, whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player, it connives, which goes really well with the white, blue, black deck. That personally is my favorite of all the crime families. So what connive means is its controller draws a card, then discards a card. Once again, enables the graveyard recursion stuff. And if they discarded a non-land card, they put a +1/+1 counter on this creature. So pretty good. Pretty good card in my opinion. Ooh, this is one of the fancy showcase cards. This looks absolutely beautiful, but a bit expensive. Shattered Serif. 4, a white, a blue, and a black for a 4/4 angel rogue with flying. And when it enters the battlefield, you gain 3 life. Really expensive, but you can exile this card from your hand. And target land gains tap, add a white, a blue, or a black. So this kind of, you basically turn a land into like a triumph, sort of, if you pay 2 mana and exile this card. So that's pretty good. And, oh shoot, that's an until the end of turn effect. So, oh wait, no. So, target land gains tap, add a white, a blue, or a black until this card is cast from exile. So you may cast it as long as it is in exile. A little bit confusing, but, I mean, interesting card. I'm not exactly sure what to think about this. I mean, it looks good because you basically make a triumph for 2 mana, but I don't know. I'm not exactly sure what to think of that card. Next card, Broker's Hideout. Now, this is just a basic land that actually doesn't, non-basic land that doesn't even add any mana, so what's the point? Well, when this enters the battlefield, you sacrifice it, and when you do, search your library for a basic forest, plains, or island card, put that card onto the battlefield tapped, then shuffle your library, and you gain 1 life. So, just a way to get mana ramp and like certain colored mana because all the decks are 3 colors, so you're definitely going to want the right mana balance and such. So, next card, Bouncer's Beatdown. 3 and a green for an instant that says, this spell costs 2 less to cast if it targets a black permanent. And this card deals X damage to target creature or planeswalker, where X is the greatest power among creatures you control. If that creature or planeswalker would die this turn, exile it instead. So this kind of messes with the graveyard recursion / graveyard value strategies that the red-blue-black deck have and the white-blue-black deck have, because it exiles the cards if they die. So, and both of the decks have black cards in it, so another way to kind of deal with that stuff. So like a single green to maybe be able to kill something and exile it. So Good, really good fight spell against certain decks. Next card. Call in a Professional. 2 and a red for an instant that says players can't gain life this turn, and damage can't be prevented this turn. Call in a Professional, deals 3 damage to any target. Pretty good. I mean, 3 mana, but yeah. Rumor Gatherer. Not sure if I'm saying that right, but anyways. 1 and 2 white for a 2/1 elf wizard that has Alliance. So whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, scry 1. If this is the second time this ability has resolved this turn, draw a card instead. So that's pretty good. Ooh. Ginny Faye Jetmir's Second. So this, we haven't exactly covered yet. Hybrid mana. So you can either spend a red or a green for that part of the cost, and a green or a white for that part of the cost. And you have to spend 1 green, but like you can spend a red, a green, and a white, or 3 green, or yeah. You have options depending on what mana you have. So I'm kind of glad that this is in the set. So anyways, 3/3 Legendary Elf Druid, and if you would create 1 or more tokens, you may instead create that many 2/2 green cat creature tokens with haste, or that many 3/1 green dog creature tokens with vigilance. So, decent. Oh, and a foily version of Broker's Hideout, and we already covered what that card is. So I'll just set it down. Beautiful Plains. I love the art. And then the token, that 2/2 cat with haste that Jetmir makes. So now let's move on to pack number 2. Alright, so we got pack number 2 here, and let's just get right into things. Let's see what pack 2 has in store for us. Extract the Truth. 1 and a black for a sorcery that says choose 1. Target opponent reveals their hand. You may choose a creature, enchantment, or planeswalker card from it. That player discards that card. Or target opponent sacrifices an enchantment. So that's a good card. It's a discard spell. Now, it's a sorcery, so not great, but it's got some value. You can make an opponent discard a certain type of card or sacrifice, like, an enchantment. I mean, they get to choose, sadly, but, yeah. Good card, kind of. Next card. Something Snoop. I'm not going to pronounce that. I didn't even know I'm just going to ignore that. I'm going to ignore that. 2 and a blue for an 0/3 human rogue with flash, and when blank Snoop enters the battlefield, it connives. So, you draw a card, discard a card. If you discard a non-land card, put a +1/+1 counter on this creature. So, pretty good. It can enable some of the connive stuff. It can, once again, enable some of the graveyard value stuff. And it's a good blocker with flash, so there's that as well. 3 mana, not the best, but still pretty good. Backup Agent, 1 and a white for a 1/1 human citizen that whenever it enters the battlefield, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature. So good. Yeah. And that kind of goes well with the Broker's deck because it cares about counters. So, yeah. Oh. Exhibition Magician. 2 and a red for a 2/1 human wizard that when it enters the battlefield, you either get to create a 1/1 green and white a green and white citizen creature token or a treasure token. So it goes well with the tokens deck, the red, green, white tokens deck. And yeah, you can make a creature, it can ramp you because treasure tokens are awesome. And it's a 2/1, so it's a fairly decent jump blocker, but for 3 mana, not the best. Anyways, most wanted. 2 and a green for an enchantment aura with flash. And the enchanted creature gets +2/+2. And when the enchanted creature dies, create 2 treasure tokens. So that goes really well with the green, black, red deck, because it cares about making a lot of treasure tokens and then just using them to ramp into gigantic creatures that just absolutely obliterate your opponent to dust. So that can be a good card. That can be a good way to make a lot of treasure tokens really quick. Deal Gone Bad. 3 and a black for an instant that target creature gets -3/-3 until the end of turn, and target player mills 3 cards. So they put the top 3 cards of their library into their graveyard. So that's a good card for 4 mana. Not great, but it is an instant, so you can do this on your opponent's turn. So not great, but it can do some stuff. It can do some stuff. Ooh, an artifact. An angel. Okay. Paragon of Modernity. 4 mana for a 2/2 artifact angel warrior with flying. And you can spend 3 mana to give this card +1/+1 until the end of turn. And if exactly 3 colors of mana were spent to activate this ability, put a +1/+1 counter on it instead. So it doesn't go away. So either +1/+1 until the end of turn, or a permanent +1/+1 counter. So that's, yeah. Okay. Another Broker's Hideout. I'm not exactly a fan of that. Ooh, and we got the non-showcase version of Shattered Serif. Now, once again, just a reminder, you can pay 2 mana to exile it from your hand and make one of your lands tap for a white, a blue, or a black. For as long as this card remains in exile, you exile it from your hand, and you can cast this card from exile whenever you want. And it's a 4/4 that enters the battlefield. When it enters the battlefield, you gain 3 life, and it's for a white, a blue, and a black. So, Cutthroat Contender. 1 black for a 1/1 vampire warrior, and you can pay 1 life to give it +1/+1/+0 until the end of turn. Activate only once each turn. I don't like that card at all. Hypnotic Grifter. 1 blue for a 1/2 human rogue, and you can pay 3 mana for this card to connive. So, yeah. For 3 mana to connive, not great, but anyways, Sizzling Soloist. 3 and a red for a 3/2 human citizen, and whenever it enters the battlefield under your control, target creature and opponent controls can't block this turn. If this is the second time this ability has resolved this turn, that creature attacks during its controller's next combat phase, if able. So, yeah. I mean, it's a good way to be able to it's a good way to be able to, like, keep your opponent from doing certain things. So, yeah. Obscura Charm. 1 white, 1 blue, and 1 black. And by the way, there's a charm for each and every crime family. So this is my favorite crime family charm. And let's just see what it does. So 1 white, 1 blue, and a black for an instant that says, choose 1. Return target multicolored permanent card with mana value 3 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped. Counter an instant or sorcery spell, or destroy target creature planeswalker with mana value 3 or less. This is a good card. Now, I would absolutely adore this card saying choose 2, because I would always choose, like, return a multicolored card with mana value 3 or less to the battlefield tapped, and I get to destroy a creature. So, good card, really good card. Horde Hauler. 3 and a red for a 5/5 vehicle with crew 3, So you can tap any number of creatures that add up to a total power of 3. And then this becomes an artifact creature until the end of turn. And it's got trample. And whenever it deals combat damage to a player, create a treasure token for each artifact they control. So, not exactly sure what to think of this card. I mean, if you're facing off against a black, red, green deck that just makes nothing but treasure tokens, this card can do some work, but I don't know. I mean, it's like, if it said for each artifact you control, this card would be absolutely amazing, but that your opponent controls, it's, I don't know. Once again, beautiful land and a citizen token. Now, let's move on to the last pack, and hopefully, let's pull a bomb. Sorry that this is getting a little bit messy here, but this is the last pack. So let's hopefully not make this thing any messier than it already is, but I highly doubt that that's true. But hey, this is a lot of fun, and I hope for you watching this video that it's a lot of fun just watching me talk about these cards. So, first card, Expendable Lackey. 1 blue. Oh, I know, we already talked about this card. So this is the thing that you can exile from your graveyard to create a 1/1 unblockable. So, as I've mentioned already before, not great. Also talked about this card before. This card I like a lot more than Lackey. But put a shield counter on a creature, 1-time version of Indestructible, and you get to scry 1 for 1 white mana at instant speed. Good common, really good common in my opinion in the Brokers white, green, blue deck. Another Antagonize. Are these like the exact same cards that I'm pulling from the last pack? From the first pack? This is the one that whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, you gain a life. And it's a 3/2 for 3. Every single card. We've pulled all of these. What the heck is this? Okay, so you can sacrifice a creature of power 2 or greater to copy this and make 2 4/3 black ogres instead of 1 for 5 mana, only during your turn. Hey, new card. Okay, I was getting really sad there. I was like, I don't like pulling doubles. Okay. Mayhem Patrol. 1 red for a 1/2 Devil Warrior with Menace. And when it attacks, it gets +1/+0 until the end of turn. And it's got Blitz for 1 in a red. So what Blitz means is if you cast this for its Blitz cost, separate from this cost, so just this and not that added onto it. So 1 red to give this thing haste, cast it from your hand, and when this creature dies, you get to draw a card. And you sacrifice this card at the beginning of the next end step. So at the end of your turn, once you've blitzed this into play, it's a 2/2 with Menace, and you get to draw a card at the end of turn if this thing didn't die during combat. So, yeah. No! You got one of these. Okay, new card, thank goodness. Ooh, this is really cool. There's one of these for each of, like, the 2 colors in the set. And, so this is the blue and black one, Waterfront District. So it enters battlefield tapped, shocks, but taps for a blue or a black, and you can spend 2 a blue and a black to tap and sacrifice this and draw a card. So there's one of these for every 10 different 2-colored pairs. So there's one for white and black, red and green, white and green, blue and white, etc., etc. So good. Now, 4 mana to draw a card off of it. Not great, but if you're not doing anything in the late game, I guess this is a good card to have. So, I like it. Jetmir's Fixer. 1 red and 1 green for a 2/2 cat warrior that you can spend 1 green and 1 red to give it +1/+1 until the end of turn. If mana from a treasure was spent to activate this ability, put a +1/+1 counter on this card instead. So kind of like with the Angel, if you, sorry about that. If you do certain thing, +1/+1 counter instead of +1/+1 until the end of turn. Except with this, it's if you use treasure, which in the red-green-black deck is really common to find. So this card can, yeah, it's decent. Not the best, but it's a good card nonetheless. Rogue's Gallery. 2 and a black for a sorcery that says for each color, return up to 1 target creature card of that color from your graveyard to your hand. That's, so you can return up to 3 creature cards from your graveyard to your hand. Now, I'm pretty sure with the way that this is worded, for each color, return up to 1 target creature of that color. So you can't return multicolored permanents from your graveyard to your hand. Only monocolored permanents, only 1-colored cards. So, it's a little limited, but overall, looks like a really good card and a really good card to have in the black, white, blue, Obscura deck. Alright, so next card, Stimulus Package. 2, a red and a green for an enchantment that says when it enters the battlefield, create 2 treasure tokens. And you can sacrifice a treasure to create a 1/1 green and white citizen creature token. So, goes well with the, why did I point white? Goes well with the red-green-black deck because it makes treasures and you can use that treasure to get tokens. And it kind of goes well with the red-green-white deck because it makes tokens, treasures, or humans. So, this card can be used for multiple different decks is basically what I'm saying. Wait, do I have 2 multicolored piles? Oh, that's the rare pile. Okay, never mind. For multicolored. Anyways, a little chat. 1 in a blue for an instant that says casualty 1. So when you cast a spell, you may sacrifice a creature with power 1 or greater. When you do, copy this. So you sacrifice a puny 1/1 or something to create 2 copies of this for 2 mana. So you can look at the top 2 cards of your library, put 1 of them into your hand, and 1 at the bottom of your library. So, decent card advantage. You can sacrifice a small creature, or a big creature if you want, to be able to get lots of card advantage, and put a creature in the graveyard that you can later get back. So, really good card in my opinion. I really like this card for the graveyard value decks that just have tiny things lying around that you can just sacrifice willy-nilly to get value. Not for much mana either, and it's an instant. So, not really a downside to this card in my opinion. When I talked about big pulls earlier, this is what I meant. This is a card. Falco Spara. Pact Weaver. 1 a green, a white, and a blue for a 3/3 legendary bird demon with flying and trample. Now, before I go any further, each of the crime families kind of has like a crime boss. So this is the green, white, blue version. So the lawyer deck that likes putting counters on stuff, like shield counters. So worth money. That's what I'm going to say right now. When it enters the battlefield, it enters the battlefield with a shield counter on it. So, one-time version of Indestructible. And you may look at the top card of your library anytime. That is serious card advantage. Kind of like how the reality chip had tons of card advantage put into it because of, the whole, you may look at the top card of your library anytime thing for just 1 and a blue. So, anyways, You may cast spells from the top of your library by removing a counter from a creature you control in addition to paying their other costs. So, once again, removing tons of the like +1/+1 counters or shield counters or whatever kinds of counters on them to be able to play cards off the top of your deck. Fantastic card advantage. In my opinion, maybe not as good as the Reality Chip, but it's a 3/3 with flying and trample that can make itself bigger and one-time version of Indestructibles. I mean, just awesome. Awesome card. And I definitely want to build a deck where this card is centered in it one of these days. You'll definitely see me building a deck with this in it. Hopefully if this card doesn't cost like $20 or something. And another copy of Join the Maestros. Just gotta ignore that card. Ooh, beautiful planes. Absolutely beautiful planes. This is the special full art, like, crimey looking thing. It's like just people walking down on a railway, and it's just like beautiful. It's kind of like a Harry Potter looking railway system, like platform 9 3/4 kind of thing. It's just like these are bronze, but I mean close enough to the Harry Potter Hogwarts Express trains. It's just like beautiful, absolutely amazing, absolutely beautiful, fantastic art. All right. I'm going to stop blabbering on about the art. I mean, I really like art. I mean, it's like, look at this card. Awesome art. It's like a bird with tons of other birds flying off the rooftops of a skyscraper. I just can't. I can't. All right. I'm just going to stop talking. And I think my first ever Crack-A-Pack with you guys is pretty awesome. Don't you think? And, yeah, got a really good card. Got a really good card. And some good playables for certain decks, like the little chat, Boon of Safety. We got 2 copies of that. And, yeah, just a couple multicolored cards that go well with certain decks. And just, like, some of the lands, really good. Just, yeah, the set, really solid. And now to move into the summary. So, see you there. So, I think that the Crack-A-Pack did really well. Now, really quick, the 3 rares I pulled, Horde Hauler was only $1, sadly. And then Jenny something, I think it was Ginny Faye, Jetmir's Second, that was actually $3.50-ish. And then Falco Spara, Pact Weaver, the mythic that I pulled, like the demonic lawyer crime boss, that card was worth $6, which is actually, it's around the price I thought it would be. I mean, I thought it would be closer to $10, but hey, that just means that it's gonna be easier for me to put in a deck one of these days for all of you. Now, with the prices of like the main cards that I pulled aside, I just want to say that I really liked this, and for every set that comes out from here on, I'm going to do something like this. Just get 3 packs, crack them open, and see what's in store. Now, with that aside, I hope that you like this brief introduction to like Streets of New Capenna, and just, like you got a bit of a vibe with what's going on. And yeah, I will see you all in my first deck review very soon.